what's left. Kind of winding it down here, and it's a good week of practice. Got another big day tomorrow, and Friday, and get ready to take on another big challenge on Saturday. So, but, guys seem very focused, and again, been a good week of practice. We're healthy. Everybody's ready to roll. Any questions on y'all's end?
How has practice been the last 2 days?
How
has practice been?
Good.
The last 2 days?
It's been a good week. Yeah, it's been a good week. Solid week.
Sammy's health?
Good. Everybody's good. Everybody's ready to go.
I think four your starting offensive linemen had 71 snaps against Maryland. Was that an effort to try to get them ready for
No,
fourth quarter?
no. It really just was. It just kind of happened that way. And we really wanted to put the other guys in there, but we wanted to get Cole a series with the kind of the first group, so to speak. And it just kind of went a little longer. And next thing you know, as the clock goes and they had the ball, and we get it back to get our guys in there. Because we actually, I think, were in the middle of that drive when it switched from third quarter to fourth quarter. And so then we kind of finished that drive, and then defense is out there. And by the time we got out there and got the other guys in, then they didn't get many opportunities. But no, it was just kind of a product of the way it was, the way it worked out. We let Taj get I think a series or two maybe in the third quarter, and then we got all those guys out. But we wanted to give Cole just a roll with that first group, because he really hadn't had much work with that group, and that was it.
All other sports got to sign high school prospects or high school athletes today. Would you be in favor of football being able to have an early signing period as well?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's ridiculous that we don't have one. I mean, it's a waste of a lot of people's time. It's a waste of a lot of money, and and it creates a lot of the garbage that goes on in recruiting, to be honest with you. A lot of that would be eliminated. And y'all probably heard me say this many times. Y'all kind of know how I am. I mean, I take, if a guy is committed and he's taking visits and all that, then he's not committed. I mean, that's just, that's it, whether there's somebody coming here or we have one of our commits wanting to go somewhere, that's not commitment. I mean, that's their right. I would never tell somebody, don't go visit another place or this and that. That's totally within a prospect's right. But, don't commit. I mean, you can't expect us to hold somebody's scholarship for them, and be more committed to them than they are to us. That's just, it's just the way I deal with it. I mean, it doesn't matter who it is or whatever. I mean, if you're committed, this is what it means. If you're not, you're not. And if you want to be committed but go take 5 visits, well, let's just call it recruiting. That's what it is. Let's just recruit. It doesn't mean we're not going to recruit you, but it's not commitment. And I think that it would really, be beneficial to both sides if you had a signing day in, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of different theories, but let's just say you had one September the 15th, for example. All right, and you got. I mean, look at us. I think we had, 17, 18, 19 commits before we ever played a game. So if you had a signing date, say in September or October 1, well, if those guys don't sign with you, well, then they're not committed. Then that, okay, I better get to work and make sure that we're going to be able to fill our numbers, because we can't count on this guy. If he doesn't sign with you and he's committed, well, okay, there's obviously a problem, which is fine. That's no problem with that. Everybody's got to do what's best for them. But at least then, from a coaching staff, And then the flip side of it is, all those guys who do sign with you because they know what they want to do, then they can enjoy their senior year. They can enjoy the confidence of knowing they got their scholarship, and somebody's not going to pull it from them in January. Oh, by the way, we didn't really mean it, kind of a deal. I think it would just be beneficial both sides, and I'm sure there's cons on both sides, but to me, it's a much more beneficial, just because of the guys are committing so early. I mean, you get guys that are committed for 2 years. That's a long time. And when you can only sign 25 in a year, and you have to go by need, if you're going to take one of this position and you get that one committed, well, I mean, you're having to count on him to be there, and you're giving him your word that you have a scholarship for him. And in the meantime, you can't keep recruiting other guys at that position because you don't have a scholarship for him. And so then all of a sudden, you go all the way through. It's not like you can just start recruiting a guy in January. That's a very rare thing. Sometimes you can get on a guy that's still open or whatever, but you got a lot of ground to make up. And some positions are easier than others. But so I definitely think that an early signing period would be beneficial for everybody involved. And then you could really target and move on to those who truly are uncommitted, and then go from there.
So with every one of your commitments, you say, if you want to take other visits, then what?
I tell them up front.
Yeah.
I just tell guys up front. I'm sure the coaches cringe every time they bring a guy in there to me or get somebody on the phone that wants to talk to me about committing, because that's why nobody can take a commitment with me, because I'm going to have the same conversation with everybody. So then nobody can say, well, we didn't say this, Well, no. If you want to commit, if you're sure you want to commit, the first thing I do is try to talk them out of it. That's the first thing I do. I want to really see if they're serious about it, and if they are, I ask them some questions and we talk about it, and then I define it so we can both agree on a definition. And so then nobody's mad. We know then that if later on you decide that, okay, now I don't want to be committed, that's fine. Well, but we're gonna, if you're wanting to take visits, if you want to be a commitment and you want to go visit other places, that's not commitment. Don't commit. I don't get that. Just keep recruiting. Let's just keep recruiting you. Nobody gets mad. You don't have to worry about it. It's not an issue. I don't know what's so complicated about it. We're not. Some guys want to, I guess, make a reservation or something, call up and cancel it later. But that's not. That's just not how we try to not operate like that here. And again, I would never want a guy to do something that's not best for him or anything like that. But when a guy makes a commitment at Clemson, we define it up front very clearly. There's no gray area. So then again, if we have a guy that wants to go visit, but we just don't. It's just in our mind. Well, we know he's not committed, regardless of what the public says or what. That's just how we think. And so we kind of know, well, we better make sure we got another number here. We'll keep recruiting, but we got to make sure we can cover ourselves. We can't just sit there and twiddle our thumbs and act like a guy's committed. It doesn't work that way. Just like when a guy's committed to some other school, and a lot of times they'll reach out to us and say, hey, I'm still interested in Clemson, and they want to come in here and visit. Well, they're not committed to that school. They're not sure what they want to do. And that's what happens with young people. There's nothing wrong with that. Young people get confused. Other people get involved. There's a lot of things, and or sometimes circumstances change at the school that they really like. That's just part of it, and you have to respect that whole process.
NC State struggled so much running the ball, I guess, before this past Saturday. I guess injuries on the offensive line? Or?
Well, they want to throw the ball. That's really what they want to do. They want to put the ball in that big 6'6" guy's hand and go play, and then feature the running game off of that. That's really what they want to do. Now against Wake Forest, as I said earlier in the week, they jumped in the I formation and just got after them and had some success. I'm sure it was a part of the plan, and all of a sudden they had success early, and next thing you know, they just kind of said, hey, we got something here. And that happens all the time in football. You have a plan, and then you get in the game, and there might be a small part of the plan, but next thing you know, it becomes a big part of the plan based on matchups or results that you have. And I think that's what's happened. I think they just said, hey, we can really run the football here. But they want to throw the ball to run it. They've thrown it a good bit more than they've rushed it. And again, I don't blame them. You got a quarterback like that, you got some skilled receivers like they have, you put it in his hands and let him go, win the game.
They threw almost 100 more passes than we had.
Yeah, I mean, that's we're I mean, and maybe we're much more committed to balance. Going into this game, in fact, we do a self-scout all the time, and going into this game, the Maryland game, prior to that, I think we'd had like 730 something snaps, and I think we were 51% run, 49% pass, I believe. That's the kind of balance that we aim. I mean, we really try to have good balance in our system, and that's, I think, what makes us even more difficult to defend. But I think NC State, their philosophy is they want to run the ball, but they really want to pass it to set the run up.
Regarding guys who are looking at the NFL, do you have a certain level where they're above this X pick, the second round pick, you'd advise leaving early? Or is it a case by case?
I don't think any of them should leave early unless they're a first rounder. It's crazy, in my opinion. I mean, I've just been doing this long enough. I've had too many guys sit in my office, when it doesn't work out the way they want, or when they really realize that $1 million isn't really $1 million. Sounds like a lot of money, but when by the time you pay your taxes and you pay your agent, you buy a car, next thing you know, buddy, you better go to work, and then you end up 2 years later, and you got hurt or whatever. I mean, I just think that unless you're a first rounder, legit, you should come back. And I look at Andre Ellington, and I mean, there's no question he's helped himself this year tremendously. He'd have gotten drafted last year, but he had a lot of room for improvement. I think he's improved a ton. But we have a process that we go through, and my big thing is they got to make the decision. I don't try to talk them into nothing. I just don't get into that because they got to live with the decision. That's the last thing I do. I don't try to do that. They want my opinion, I give it to them. Here's the information. We have, like I said, a process that we go through to give them facts, not a bunch of crud. And we give them factual information. And at the end of the day, they got to make a decision what's best for them. I always go back to CJ. I thought CJ was gone. I told him, I said, you're probably a late first rounder. Here's what that means at that time. Now the late first rounders then were getting more money than the top 10 picks now. The whole thing's changed. So especially now. But I think it's more important to come back. But when we walked into that press conference that day, I thought he was gone. When we walked out of my office, I thought he was leaving, and he made a decision on his own. I didn't tell him what to do at all. I just gave him information, answered questions. He asked opinion. I gave him opinions when he asked, and told him I'd support him whatever he decided to do. The guys that we've had, same thing with Dwayne Allen, same thing with Daquan. Went through the process. Here's the information. Daquan's was kind of a freaky deal. I mean, that was kind of a crazy situation, the way it worked out. And in DA's case, and some guys, like Jamie Harper, for example, it really wasn't much of a discussion. That was his plan from day one, and in his mind, he felt like, I got to go to work. That's just, everybody's situation's different. And everybody has to make their own decisions, and they got to live with those decisions. But again, my role is just to give them factual information and be there to support them, offer them opinions if they want that, and go from there.
Do you remember where Bowers was projected to go, or where you thought he was going to be?
Oh yeah. I thought he definitely. I thought he should definitely go. I didn't think there was any question that he should come out. He was a legit top 10, top 15 pick, no doubt. And just, had some tough circumstances and that kind of slid him down, with his injury and his rehab, and probably shouldn't have worked out, probably should have just kind of just sat tight and said, hey, my film speaks for itself, and go from there. But it is what it is. But he's a heck of a player, and hopefully things work out the way they're supposed to.
All set? Thank you, sir.